one of the things that a lot of our clients talk about is the idea of a life estate. So I
Yeah.
was seeing if you could expand on that and kind of that philosophy and when it makes sense, so on and so forth.
Yeah, so life estates are a strategy that are usually combined with something else. It's usually combined with an irrevocable trust. And when you add those two structures together, you've got a pretty robust and a very powerful way of starting this so-called 5-year look-back period. And it's usually on an asset like real estate. So usually the entry point for people when they're considering long-term care planning, skilled nursing planning, many people will say, let's at least start by protecting the real estate, even if other assets aren't necessarily protected straight away. That's kind of like your step number one in that whole process. There's many more steps. The life estate is where the life tenant, often that's the elder that you're concerned about protecting, still has occupancy of the home. They start a 5-year look-back period. They still are able to move out and rent the house, keep all the rent if they wanted to. But it's kind of a shared arrangement with their loved ones where the benefits outweigh the negatives for many of these clients that want to protect that house. After 5 years, that house is essentially taken off the table, for nursing home planning purposes.
And many times that's their biggest asset.
Yeah. Not only that, but real estate tends to be an appreciating asset. Some people that have mortgages are paying the mortgages off, or they don't have a mortgage anymore, and the value of that real estate's going up. And as people age, and they're spending other assets,
right,
they still have a house. They still need a place to live. So the older a person is, sometimes it's very common to see the house being a major asset. So that's a great starting point, being able to draw a red line around that house and kind of taking it off the table. So there's pros and cons to the strategy that people should explore. But we've been doing a lot of life estate and irrevocable trust strategies to protect folks that fit a certain category. It's not for everybody. And we want to make sure to also connect that with an irrevocable trust. So sometimes you'll see people taking a life estate and having the remainder interest just go to their children or something. And that's kind of a little bit riskier than we might want.
Sure.
So that's why I think a full meeting is necessary to review that, the pluses and minuses of that strategy.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense, especially like you said, as real estate appreciates, or you have a mortgage or you're spending it down, and you want to protect that real estate.
Yeah.
And as you get older, maybe when you're younger, you're not thinking, hey, something's going to happen to me. But as you get older, maybe you start thinking that way.
Absolutely.
And you want to take some of that, some of those chips off the table, for lack of a better way.
A very common misconception people have. Many people mistakenly think that every trust protects against the nursing home. They'll say, "Oh, don't worry, I set up a trust." Well, if you own that trust and you control it, you're the trustee, you're the beneficiary. If it's revocable, there's no protection at all when it comes to nursing homes on that property.
Yeah, many times, when I'm sitting with folks and I'm looking at their estate documents and they're like, I'm all set, I'm protected. And I say, wait, no, actually you're not, and here's why. They're kind of shaking their head or scratching their head, and then it's time for them to review their estates, which, it's important. It's important to know what you have, right?
Know what that trust does and doesn't do. There's no cure-all trust out there.
Right.
Trusts are more like a computer program these days. They do a very specific task.